Welcome back to the TCAD 10-minute take. It is I, your host, Sheree Elstore, and with me, as always, on our fall movie tour is Don, the essential worker Chambers, and we are watching a scary movie today because Don couldn't get through Hubie Halloween, but there was another Netflix offering that we decided to go with instead. We will give Hubie Halloween maybe another try, maybe some other time. Maybe. But we are talking about today, Vampires versus the Bronx.
Yes.
But before we get started, make sure you click that subscribe button and you click that bell to get all the 10-minute takes as soon as they drizzle out. Okay, so
boy.
As always, Mr. Chambers will go first and go.
Okay, Vampires versus the Bronx, directed by Osmani Rodriguez. Starring, the three main kids, Jade Michael, Gerald W. Jones, and Gregory Diaz IV. Gerald W. Jones III. Let me not forget that. It also has Method Man in there. And Mero from, is it DeSusa and Mero? Yeah. DeSusa and Mero, they've got their own podcast and show on, I believe it's Showtime. It also has Chris Redd from Saturday Night Live. He's in it as well.
And it's Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana has like a brief sort of role there as well, which kind of surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vampires versus the Bronx. In a nutshell, it's about vampires invading the Bronx, so to speak, in a sense, gentrifying it. And these three kids who find out this nefarious plot and save the Bronx from being wiped out by these vampires. Okay. Okay. So I'm watching this, and number one, look, as an actor, I don't begrudge any actor's work, whatever they're doing. I'm like, hey, if you can keep working, awesome, wonderful. Although I have never been a fan of kid actors. I just, something about kid actors, I find that they seem to be over the top more so than not. These kids were fine. They were okay. I didn't really feel the chemistry between them, like they were really best friends as this movie's making them out to be, but it's all right. I'm like, yeah, it was workable. I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoyed just seeing Method Man pop up as a preacher. That instantly made me laugh. It just made me laugh, and I said, please, I hope he does more preacher stuff, because just Method Man as a priest, I just found hilarious, because it's just kind of out of character for his persona. Not that he can't do it acting-wise, but the fact it made me laugh, I just wanted to see more of him. And we only got a little bit, which I thought was a shame. I thought that was a wasted kind of a piece that could have brought more laughs, because it sort of felt this movie wasn't sure what it was going for. If it was trying to be a bit more serious horror thing, like that British movie, what is it?
Attack the Block.
Attack the Block.
Yes.
Which is what I thought of first, if it was partly going, but then it had these comedic sort of moments. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's really trying to be sort of a comedy with a little bit of horror sprinkled in, which is what I thought when I saw Method Man. And then I saw, Chris Redd from SNL. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll get some laughs. But it wasn't really. It kind of felt like it got lost where it really wanted to go a lot through this movie. It definitely had a B-movie feel, which is fine. Doesn't bother me at all, but it didn't really seem to embrace the B-moviness of it. Like, it didn't really go for it. And I thought some of the action set pieces, it felt flat. I don't think the director, Rodriguez, kind of really dug into it and really brought the most out of it. because it didn't feel very scary enough. Or if you're gonna go B movie and maybe do a bit gory, it didn't even come close. You don't really see anything. So
Where would you put it on our scale?
this is at the very least. You can watch it on Netflix. This is more so a red box. Like I'll wait for it to come in the mail on a DVD. I'm definitely not going to the movie theater for this because again, I thought there was a wasted opportunity and it didn't quite know what it was going for, so it felt very wishy-washy through it all, and then it left so many parts where I thought the direction didn't really dig into it and kind of pull out what they could have. That you're just watching it. It's like the movie just had a very flat feel to it. It's hard to explain. So
No, yeah, I get it.
And
Yeah.
and that's why, like, if I had to give it like a number rating, it's a 5 because it has promise, but it never dug into it and really kind of fleshed it out. I mean, it had some actors playing some good characters, but it's like, all right, let's bring something. Like let's get the mom maybe in more. Let's get the owner of the bodega with his comedy in there more. You've got Method Man as a priest. How do you just not use that? I mean, I'm like, okay, fine. If we're going more with the vampires, all right, let's get a little bloody with the vampires or something, and it just never does. Or explain more with like the Murnau, and it's like they have Vlad the Impaler as their logo, and it doesn't.
They never.
Right, it doesn't get into any of that, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think you're right. This movie had all of the pieces, like all of the pieces to a puzzle, and then they didn't have focus of where they wanted to go. Like I immediately thought Attack the Block when I saw it too, because I loved Attack the Block. Like Attack the Block is so good. If you haven't seen it, I think that might be on Netflix or even Shudder right now with John Boyega, one of his first roles, and it's like a group of these inner city kind of project kids, and there's an alien invasion of these aliens that are sort of like critters, and it definitely deals with the elements of gentrification and the neighborhoods kind of trying to survive, and then there's aliens on top of that as an outside threat. This movie was trying to say something about gentrification, and it just didn't know where it was going. Like if it had been, like a Fright Night and had been more like Critters or Gremlins and was more scary, that would have been something. And they made it, the danger more real, and like even the danger from real gentrification versus the vampire version of gentrification. And, it was clever, but it wasn't funny. Like they had like all the new restaurants and businesses that were moving in, and like the signs for them, they were really clever, and there was like a artisanal butter store that was coming in. Like it was clever, but they didn't make it a comedy. Like it wasn't funny, haha, as a comedy. And then it sort of fell apart in the third act with the big bad reveal and then the major fight piece, which it just sort of fell apart right there because it almost seemed like they were running out of time, and the big bad wasn't as big or as bad. It never felt dangerous, and I think that was something that was definitely missing. Even in movies that are horror comedies, is you get the laughs following the scares. And it's as a tension relief from the very real danger. And I never felt like these kids were in any real danger. And I mean, not that I want to put kids in danger, but in movie danger, like there wasn't any movie danger. But then even Hocus Pocus felt more dangerous for those kids at times. And that's I could see this movie being you're having kids Halloween and it's just on, like you have like a
Yeah.
playlist of movies. It's inoffensive as far as, kind of like, as younger kids watching a horror
And
movie
it's
or
not even
vampire
really
movie.
gory or anything like that either.
Not super
It's kind of
gory. It's not
PG-ish
super
too.
scary. It's pretty PG.
Yeah.
I didn't need it to not be PG. I just like,
Right.
even People Under the Stairs. Like, it just needed to have more of an element of action here. And the danger that the neighborhood was in, the danger that the kids were in. It just was sort of brushed off and easily defeated. And we didn't explore any of the other characters outside of the kids. The acting was competent. It was shot really well. Mark did say that when we watched it, he was like, "This movie feels really small for some reason. Like if they're in the Bronx, they're not." And I'm thinking maybe they didn't actually shoot it in the Bronx. Like maybe it was a cheat.
Mm,
Um, because it did feel really small. Like if you're really like there was no like big wide shots. There was no like
that's true.
any kind of like, it just felt like they kept everything real tight. Everything was just like a two-shot master, and then like close up.
I think that
you
might
didn't-
go back to what you were just saying about like the last scene, like they ran out of time. Something also maybe tells me that they, I have a feeling they probably only shot it in like a 2 or 3 block circle, and they just stayed right
Yeah.
there, because that's a good point. It does feel
It-
like they only stayed in like these 2 or 3 spots, and that's it.
It felt limited,
Yeah.
and maybe that was financially limited. Maybe it was just
Right.
they had what they had, and they did what they could with what they had,
Mhm.
which was not bad. Like it wasn't a bad movie. I'm not
Mm-mm.
saying don't watch it, but I wouldn't go to the theater for it necessarily. I don't think it's better than Attack the Block, but it's certainly better than Hubie Halloween. And if you've got time on Netflix, listen. Vampires versus the Bronx is a much better spend of your time.
Yeah.
The whole vampires gentrification versus the neighborhood in the movie, like it was a little flat. Like it was a little flat as far as uncomplicated black and white
Mhm.
what's happening, and it could have been a little bit more complicated is what I'm trying to say. Like it just wasn't.
Right.
And it just wasn't. Like it was very surface level as far as the danger, the stakes, the characters, and the actors did what they could with what they had. It just wasn't
Yeah.
as substantial as it could have been, and as the promise of the premise. Like the premise sounded really cool and really fun, and I was like, man, this sounds really good. And then it was just okay. So I mean, just okay is okay. But yeah, I think it was definitely Redbox worthy. If you didn't already have Netflix, I wouldn't go out and get Netflix because of this.
Oh no. Oh no. No.
But it's not make a night of it. It's add it to your playlist
Yeah.
on Netflix. Like if you're having a Halloween get together, a Halloween movie night, and you want to end on a light note, like that's fine.
Yeah.
A movie to either start on or end on, as far as like, so you can sleep at night. Because it's super not scary.
It's really not. Yeah, you could definitely end your night on it.
Yeah, like if you got kids and you want to watch a Halloween movie together, this is a good movie. It's not super scary.
Yeah. At all.
At all. Like it fits perfectly well. I think they're, in a young person Halloween movie, but I think, Fright Night and Attack the Block and some of these other movies are better movies,
Mhm.
but this is not that far below that.
That's true. It's close.
It's really not.
It's close.
It's close enough for government work. So I would say give it a watch if you got time, and we all got time today.
We do. And what else you have time for out there, because I know you've got time, you hit that subscribe and you hit that bell. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that bell to get notifications. But also, go to tcatnetwork.com, because it's all there for you. You've got all of our 10-minute takes, as well as our TCAT podcast episodes. Plus, you've got new episodes of Good Morning Antioch out hot and ready, and you can go to tcadnetwork.com to see that as well and catch up on the reading if you haven't listened to all those as well yet. So tcadnetwork.com. But first and foremost, if you just love being on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications so you can see when more of these 10-minute takes are coming out your way.